Were the nurses allowed to wear trousers and stopped wearing hats?
Well, now there's a tale. There's a tale about that.
I didn't wear trousers.
I'll tell you what about hats. When I was in A&E at Southwing, yes, everybody had a hat on and it had to be starched. And I seemed to be the only one that could starch, cold water starching, because my father always had starched collars for work. And I got so fed up, everybody would say, I think your hat needs doing, Gale. Will you do mine at the same time? And it was a long job, wasn't it? Anyway, in the end, I went to the sister in charge and I said, now then, I'm fed up of this. I said, can we look in this catalogue and find hats that don't need starching? So we had to look and we found some nice broad rayon ones, and you had a hoop, put it through it, and that made it nice and stand up, fold it, button at the back, and that was it. So that's what we took, didn't we? That was really nice.
But
that was probably...
what year did they decide that we didn't have to wear one?
I should think...
When we were part-time, wasn't it?
Middle-80s, when they said. But then I left then, because I went into general practice, but Deirdre carried on, didn't you?
Yes, and caps were just abandoned. Nobody wore a cap,
right,
but I wouldn't take mine off. So I've got the distinction of being the last nurse in Bedford that wore a hat, because I wouldn't take it off, and I didn't take it off till I left.
Till you retired, and that's it.
Yeah.
So, and now they all wear theatre, trousers and tops.
They don't wear anything,
No.
don't they?
No.
What about feeding the patients? Who?
Oh, I hated meal times. Well, in the beginning, when I was training, it was okay. You took it, you gave it to them. You didn't ask them, you just gave it to them. And they ate it, or they didn't eat it really. I suppose we had to feed them, of course, but the poorly ones. But then it got to bringing this diet menu round every day, and that annoyed me. And they'd order this, and then when it came, no, I didn't order that. No, I didn't order that. And you'd go back and find something. Oh no, I don't like meal times. No, I didn't.
But really, think about it. We did sit and feed patients.
We did sit. Well, yes, it was part of our duty.
It was part
to feed
of the
them.
job. Yeah, you were allocated a patient.
Make
you
sure
took
they
it.
were drinking as well.
Yeah, and if the jug got further down, you were in trouble if it wasn't filled up. So yeah, there's a lot of things. It was about caring for the patient.
While I was training, we had an outbreak of TMV, and it turned out, well, there was loads of nurses off sick. I don't know how the hospital coped, but it did. And it turned out that they'd been making, what's that stuff in jelly? Brawn, that's right. The kitchen had been making brawn in some enamel buckets. So that's why we had DMV. And some enamel buckets.
How horrible.
Yes, it happened. The wards were called Nightingale wards, and they were arranged that you had about 10 beds on one side. Was it 10?
No, it
8?
wasn't. No. We had about, I should think,
No, I think ours were 10.
12 or 14.
Was
I know we could, when the beds were put in down the middle for emergencies, we had about 30, which for two of us was quite, it was a lot.
And when you went on duty at 8, 7 or 8 o'clock, your sister in charge read out the state of each patient, and if there was anything special for you to do, you were told, like passing a Wiles tube or something like that, or whether you could not get that one up, or
a Wiles tube, isn't it? It's one that you pass up your nose and it goes down into your stomach.
Yeah, and those special treatments, you were told at the beginning of the day if you'd got to do it, but otherwise you went on there into the ward and you did whatever. If it was bedpan round or if it was washes round, you joined in and you did everything you could. And then when it got to lunchtime, you were thankful. At dinner time, you didn't get a break until Sister said you could go to your half-hour break to the dining room. And if there was a very ill patient sometimes, and their skin got out of condition. The skin did break and it did become a bed sore, but great effort was done to get them. But and when it appeared, we soon got it better, didn't we?
We did, but you see, we rubbed these backs and elbows 3 times
And heels.
a day. And heels
yeah.
3 times a day, and they
They didn't get bed sores in no.
They liked that because they could feel, you know, the circulation was being.
And the treatment of bed sores in my day was tincture of benzoin, and I still love that smell. But they use it for inhaling now.
They do.
But it treated our bed sores very well, didn't it? It
Yeah,
did.
it did.
And the different roles in the ward, different titles of people in the ward.
We had a sister, and now there's usually 2, but we only had 1 in those days, didn't we?
Yeah, and then a staff
And then
nurse.
a staff nurse, and sometimes another staff nurse, not very often, but sometimes. And then when sister wasn't there, the staff nurse had to take charge. And then you had about 4 students, didn't you?
Yeah.
On each ward.
I must tell you this. When I was, because I trained in Yorkshire, and one of the wards I went on was men's surgical. I think I was a 3rd-year nurse then. And this was Sister Lewis. She was tall, ever such a nice. She was the best in the hospital. She had that ward run. We all liked her. And then we had, in the evenings when the majority went off and you were just left with her until it's time to go, we used to have a cup of tea, which was unheard of, and sit in the kitchen and she'd talk to us. And she was telling me one day that she did a midwifery and at the general and etc. And it turns out that she delivered me.
Oh!
Yes, she did.
Did she?
Yes, she did. She said, I've kept a note of all my deliveries, she
Yeah.
said, and when I go home tonight, I'm going to look in my book. And she couldn't wait to
And
tell
it
me in the
was.
morning that she
How
delivered me. I
lovely.
thought, well. That was
That's
good.
small world,
Yes,
wasn't
it is, yeah. Yeah, so the titles on the ward, we had, you said sister, staff nurse,
sometimes.
nurses, and auxiliary.
Yeah.
She was like nursing assistants today. But
we
don't
were
forget...
called
But don't
by
forget,
our surnames. We were never
Oh,
never
yes.
ever used your Christian name.
No.
Nobody did.
No.
It wasn't
not at
allowed,
all.
was it?
No, you didn't even.
Then you had a cleaner and somebody that used to wash up.
Yeah,
And
that was it.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything.
When it came to buttering the bread, we had to do that.
Yeah.
Well, margarine. It was margarine. Makes the sandwiches in the night, didn't we? Oh no, it wasn't. It was buttering bread for the breakfast.
That's right. We did that
Yes,
in
we
the
didn't
night.
make sandwiches, no.
Um,
And if you had an able-bodied patient, which was lovely on the men's ward, because they would make you a cup of tea at about 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning. They'd be awake and they'd say, "Can I make you a cup of tea?" So that was really, really something that I enjoyed. But we weren't always lucky with that able-bodied patient. But
But when I was on the men's ward as a student nurse, I happened to have my birthday, and I don't know how they found out, but they filled a bath full of water and put me in it.
Did they?
Yes, they did. And it was going to be the consultant round, and they were short of nurses, and I just could not. They let me out the fire escape. And fortunately, we always kept spare uniforms, and I could change. And they said, "Where was I?" And nobody said, "No, we don't know where she is." So that was a bit hair-raising, I can tell you.
I had my 21st birthday on Gifford Nash Ward, but nothing was done to me.
No.
Although my mother was getting a tea party that day, or that weekend, and in between Mum arranging a tea party, matron she used to send for you in the mornings if you got to change your place of work. I was asked to go on night duty. So I didn't say to matron, my mum had got, it was my birthday, I didn't say anything, but I went back to the ward and Sister Chambers said, "What's the matter?" And I said, "Oh, I've got to go on night duty and it's my birthday." So she said, "Oh, I'll go and see what I can do." So she went back to matron. Good. And she changed it, so I did get my tea party, yeah.
Well, when I came to Bedford, it was, I can't think of a name, matron, very stern person. Anyway, that doesn't matter. But
With a big bosom?
no, I can't remember if she had a big bosom or not. But she was definitely a miss. Anyway, it was when in the days when I was
After Miss Shand?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Oh, Reese. Miss
Reese, that was her. And I just found out I was pregnant. And not morning sickness, but if I didn't get home and have my meal by 5 o'clock, I was horrible. So I went to her, and you can imagine what she said. Nurse, she said, you're not the only person that's ever had a baby, she said. No, I will not, she said. I need you in this, that, on that ward until 8 o'clock at night. And there I had to stay.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
So that was in 64. So, yes.
So still strict then, weren't they?
Yeah, very, 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 yeah. But the consultants were nice.
Yeah, they
because
were, most of them.
I worked for Mr. Chignall and Mr. Welsh
They were good.
in theatre, and they were brilliant. They did the tonsils and adenoids, and as I got bigger, and they said, well, don't leave, we'll get a seat and we can have a drink between each case.
Even that was good.
So that was nice. Yeah, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing all that. I like theatre.
What about difficult patients?
Oh no, we didn't have any of them. I don't know what we did with them, do you?
Don't get on the wards. No, because we didn't have a
They used to clamber out of the cot sides.
Oh, yes,
didn't
they did.
Always
Oh, yes.
clambering out the cot sides.
Yeah, they did.
But I don't
We
know.
used to have the prisoners come in from the prison, and they'd be handcuffed, and the police, the warden,
Sit with them, yes.
sit with them. So
Yeah.
that was their responsibility, not ours.
No, I don't think we had a very...
I mean, we had some hair-raising times in A&E when we were there together, didn't we? We had all sorts of nice people that we got fond of that were out on the streets, and we used to come in and look after them, didn't we?
We did.
They had a shower and a change of clothes. I mean, this is sort of in the late 70s, 80s. Yeah, we did. Sorts of old people.
Children's hospital, did you well on the children's ward? You were.
Did we what?
Yes, you had to do a spell on the children's
yeah.
ward, yes. It wasn't something I liked really because they were screaming all the time. When you go home and you could still hear the screaming.
Oh, I like that. I like the children's ward.
No, I didn't.
Did you not?
No,
I did. I
no.
liked it.
Some did and some I wasn't. I didn't.
I'll tell you what I didn't like when I was training. On the gynae ward, they all had to be dealt with first thing in the morning, so you'd got about whatever they'd had done, hysterectomies, they had to be douched. Do you remember? And the containers were stainless steel. We didn't have any paper packs like they have today. Stainless steel. Now, can you imagine? The trolley once collapsed in the sluice. Well, you've never heard any noise like
They
it.
all fell off.
Everybody was awake in the ward. So I had to end up going around and making goodness knows how many cups of tea to get them all back to sleep. It wasn't my fault. It was just the wheel fell off the trolley. Yes, funny times.
So what sort of surgery did you help with?
General surgery, Bedford was. It didn't specialise in anything. No.
They did orthopaedics.
They send them the general. You know, if there was anything well, they were all serious, but anything.
If we had
We
any,
used to go to London.
yeah, I'm going to say if we had any
used to
head
go
injuries,
to London, yeah,
we used to escort them
to
to
take
London.
them to London.
To
So
Queen
what sort
Square.
of operations did you help with? What sort of operations?
Well, they
Every-
like hysterectomies, cholecystectomies, everything run of the mill.
Tonsils, yeah, everything. You know that they not quite.
And when you had a cataract done, they had to lay still with their eyes bandaged for about a week, didn't they?
Yeah. What about a heart attack? They were in bed for 3 days.
I didn't do much medicine.
Did you not?
No.
Oh, I did. Yeah, in bed, laid flat for 3 days, and you had to feed them, and they got irritable. And, yeah, so that's changed, which is good.
And then another thing, when their ankles and legs were swollen below the knee, perhaps they don't. I know they don't do it now, but they used to stick needles with a tube on, and they had their feet in a bucket or a bowl, and the fluid used to dry because we didn't have tablets, diuretic tablets in those days, and the fluid used to just flow out, and they took the tubes out and they put them back to bed and then did it again the next day, didn't they?
I don't remember that.
Don't you remember?
No, I don't remember.
Southers tubes they were called.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Mm. And I saw leeches used as well on a patient at Bedford. He died, but they were used.
Well, before I left the surgery, they were just starting to use them on the district.
Were they?
Again, yeah, they were. Ulcers, leg ulcers,
Yeah,
because
did
they
they?
are really hard to heal up. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
they are.
And they were going to start and use them. Yeah, so.
What about medical breakthroughs? Were you sort of aware of new medicines coming online? Because when you think of the drugs that we have now that you didn't have when you first trained,
No.
can you remember sort of these miracle drugs?
I think the best thing that's come out now is
About Bedford Splint.
yeah, Bedford Splint. That was designed by Mr. Pollen,
Yeah.
and it was
It's a
piece
bit of a stretchy stuff, and you did
Kept
two
your
fingers
fingers
together like that. Yeah, it is called the Bedford Splint. Yeah.
I was
I
going
don't think we did anything else new.
Well, I was thinking about when patients collapse and what we do today for them. You know, the defib,
Yeah, but they didn't do it in those days.
They didn't.
No.